Today we're gonna play Mission Impossible until we win. But before we do, I just want to say, I hate this fucking game. Unlike other games under the Ultra brand, TMNT, Mission Impossible isn't the cheap, quick cash-in of a game. It's actually one hell of a good game, it's just ridiculously difficult. Gun-toting henchmen, nearly impossible bosses, a skiing section that will make you wish death upon the world, and the computer. But we'll get to that later. What makes this game hard? Poor controls? Bad level design? Unfair AI? No, no, and no. Mission Impossible is hard simply because it was made that way. That's right, this game is hard because Ultra Games hates you. There are a few things you can keep in mind to stay alive though. You must know which character to use and when, and the game gives you three distinct styles of playing: Max, Grant, and Nick. Max moves slow, but he's the only one with a long-range weapon. His gun will give you a big advantage in later stages, but sometimes it's impossible to hit enemies with it. His alternate weapon is a remote detonated bomb, which is okay, but doesn't really prove useful in the game. Grant moves the quickest and punches everything. I'd apologize for the racial stereotype, but I didn't make the game, and Grant is probably the best character in the entire game. While his punches are fairly short range, you can actually punch through some obstacles to kill enemies that Max and Nick can't. His alternate weapon is sleeping gas, which comes in very handy against bosses and some death traps. Nick attacks with boomerangs, and they can be useful in some situations since they're the Legend of Zelda style boomerangs that come back to you no matter where you are. His alternate weapon is a disguise which lets you pass by some sections unharmed, but it doesn't come in handy until much later in the game. In the first couple of levels, you can usually get away with using only one or two characters, but in later levels you'll need all three characters to get through, so dying once is pretty much a death sentence. There aren't a whole lot of health power-ups in this game, so you really need to avoid taking damage. Fortunately, the majority of the game is an overhead sneaker, which makes path prediction easy, but avoidance difficult. Your character takes up a 1x2 rectangle on the map, so moving around can be cumbersome. Get used to how enemies detect you. Basically, unless you're directly behind an enemy, they're gonna see you. Alright, let's get to it. Level 1. You start in the middle of the street, and unless you like getting run over by cars, I highly recommend moving to one of the sidewalks. As you walk around, some people will try to kill you, but you can kill them right back. You just can't kill the other pedestrians, otherwise you're off the mission. Go to the third door on the bottom. The guy inside will tell you where to get the pass. Go to that room, get the pass, then head into the alleyway. From here, the level is fairly straightforward. Travel through the alleyway, visiting each room you can find. There's only one switch you need to take care of here: move wall. It's in the room in the upper middle portion of the alleyway. There's also a medkit in the upper left room. Now, every level has a certain number of switches. Level 1 has 5 of them, so we've got 4 more to find. So make your way to the lower left room of the alleyway, kill the bad guys, and take the stairs down to B1. And yes, you'll be plagued with actually moving up and down the stairs throughout the whole game. B1 is a maze of sewers, but it's not too difficult to make your way through. Just take your time and avoid taking damage. Also, you need to avoid the Molotov cocktails that some of the enemies throw. What you need to do in the sewers is essentially move counterclockwise through the level. You'll run into pushers in this section. They don't cause damage, but more often than not, they'll push you into a pit of death. And as you can guess, the sewer water will kill you instantly. Oh, and they take 7 hits to take out. Your best strategy against these guys is either to kill them from far away or trick them into pushing you into a wall. You'll have to make your way through several different rooms to find the second switch, Fix Floor. This will let you pass at a later part of the sewers. There are a couple of exits you can take. One of them will bring you to the street level, which you don't need to go to, and another exit will take you to the other section of the sewers. You'll have 2 options here: take the right path or try to unlock the door. I say be a man, kill everyone in your sights. It's not easy, but you can do it. Head down and make your way to B2. There are a few traps here and there that you've got to get past, but they're not too difficult to figure out. Head down, work your way past a bunch of laser detectors, and disable the flood switch. Now that flood is disabled, you'll be able to make your way back to the beginning of the sewer section and get past the flooded sewer room. From here, you'll be able to disable the cut, power, and robot switches. After this, run around the level some more until you come up on some random guy that tells you Dr. Roll is in a temple in Venice. Level 2 is Venice, and you'll be in an overhead Spy Hunter style of stage. If you're not good at Spy Hunter, then there's not much I can do for you because this level is fast, furious, and unforgiving. You've got to be quick or be dead. Whatever you do, do not crash into enemy boats. They do an astounding amount of damage. There's also orange barrels in the water that you can use to jump over obstacles and enemies, though I never really found them too useful. Keep at it and eventually you'll hit level 3. This stage is pretty difficult, but it's not as much of a maze as the first one. The only real puzzle here is that you've got to figure out which statue you need to blow up in order to continue. The statue you need to blow up is on the first floor in the room on the bottom right, all the way in the bottom right of the room. So, blow up the statue and you'll find a ladder to the second part of the level. Now, just like in stage 1, we'll need to find the pass. Thankfully, there's a guy who will tell you where the pass is located. Unfortunately, you have to go through this room. The conveyor belt isn't bad, at first, but then the statues start to come to life and try to kill you. The only method for getting past these statues that's worked for me is to use a 3 count after the statue has swung its sword. There are a lot of things you can do beyond the conveyor belt, but basically your goal is to disable the switches, grab a few med packs, find the pass, and make your way up to the 4th floor. It's here that you'll find the stage boss, and unlike the first level boss, this guy will actually require that you do something. I highly recommend using Grant in this fight because of his speed and his sleeping gas. Grant's speed is necessary because the floor is constantly breaking away. Your best strategy is to move along the outside of the room, throwing gas bombs at the boss and getting in punches whenever you can. Whatever you do, do not destroy a circle around the room, otherwise the entire floor will give away. Keep up your hit and run technique and eventually you'll take out this boss. Level 4 of all the overhead stages is probably the easiest one, but it does have some tricks. The first nasty trick is the illusion device. It's basically the game's poor excuse for making you waste Max's bombs. To find the illusion device, make sure you count the number of bridges you've crossed. After you cross the 4th bridge, simply move to the right and blow up the rock face. Shoot the illusion device and the real level will reveal itself. Instead of moving forward and trying to cross a bridge, move to the left and enter the hidden cave. The rest of the level is very much straightforward. The only real difficulty in this level is the lack of medkits. Really, all you need to worry about is taking too much damage. The boss, unlike the level, isn't easy. He's got a hostage with him, and if you hit the hostage, you take damage. Kill the hostage, kill yourself. It's a simple mechanic, but makes the fight unusually difficult. The best method I've come up with for dealing with this guy is to sit and wait. Basically, sit around one of the corners the enemy can run to and wait for him to show up. Quickly take a shot with Max, then run back. It's not the best method because you could end up killing the hostage rather quickly, but it's better than getting your ass handed to you by the boss's rapid-fire gun. Keep at it and you'll reach level 5. I hope you like skiing. I also hope you like not having any hair because the amount you're going to pull out is insane, because this level is just plain evil. The problem with this stage is that you've got to have superhuman reflexes because everything moves so damn fast. Later in the level, everything becomes so impossible to react to that the stage is really all about rote memorization. Of course, there are some things you can keep in mind to try and stay alive. Always stay at an edge. Cracks like to appear in the snow, which will kill you instantly, but sticking near the edges avoids that particular hitbox. The helicopter can be forced to never fire a shot by simply moving to the front and rear of the screen, forcing it to circle the screen, and eventually, it'll force the helicopter to stop harassing you. Finally, the last section is a pain. I can't even begin to count the number of times I died. Keep at it though, and eventually you'll remember enough of the level to make it to level 6. This stage is hard, takes forever to figure out, and there's this one room that basically limits you to dumb luck. At this point, you really should be a Mission Impossible expert, so getting to the difficult part of this level shouldn't be beyond your capabilities. Getting through the difficult section, however, is a different story. You know you're at the hard part when you're running past plumes of smoke and fire. This section is a royal pain in the ass. Getting past the flames isn't the hard part. No, it's the next few sections that will drive you nuts. The next screen is filled with fire-throwing baddies, and it's an auto-scrolling level. This means that basically, you're gonna die. A lot. This part is not easy. The only advice I can give you is, well, good luck. I've made it through twice now, and both times were just utterly dumb luck. Your best option is to use Max to kill these guys from a distance. It's not the easiest method in the world, but it's not your worst option either. The next screen is incredibly difficult though if Max didn't survive the encounters with the Mad Bombers. It's another auto-scrolling room, but this time it's laced with pits and robotic arms that grab you and toss you inside the pits. The easiest method of getting through this level is using Max to take out the robotic arms. If you don't have him, however, then your best option is to stick to the upper right portion of the screen and let the level push you forward. Once you get past the claws, I'm going to save you some time here. Blow up the wall to the north and destroy the illusion device. Now you've got to get through the next room, which is actually really fun. It's full of magnets, so every attack will take a massive curve. If you want an easy time getting through this room, go to the second door on the left and kill the power. With the lights out, the enemies won't be able to see you, and you can basically walk up next to them and shoot them. Go through this room, checking the other rooms to find another switch, then head to the bottom. You can grab the med kit if you need it at this point and go through the door. And that's right, you've just walked in a big circle. So, make your way past the fire and through the unfair bastard of a room again. Thankfully, since you've destroyed the illusion device, you won't have to fight against the scrolling room and robotic claws. But you will have to fight through some tough ninjas in a couple of unfair rooms. In the room with the ninjas, immediately move forward and take the stairs up, then immediately walk to the left, otherwise you'll fall into a trap. This room is pretty unfair. It moves automatically, and the floors quickly fall away. Keep moving forward, taking out the enemies that appear as fast as possible. As for dealing with the pushers, you'll have to force him to push you in the opposite direction of the falling floors, or you can use your sleeping gas and walk past him. The next room has the final boss, and he's a joke. Shoot him once and he'll die. Walk past him, you'll fall down a pit, and you'll be in one of the rooms adjacent to the magnetic room. I know, it's a terrible trick, but you're gonna have to go through this crap again. Cut the power, disable the floor pit switch, go down, take the last door on the right, and disable the fume switch. Make your way through the fire room, and then, yes, you have to fight through the flamethrower enemies again. Once you're through that room, avoid the ninjas and go straight up. Immediately move to the left and make your way through the falling floor room again. When you're finally all the way over to the left, make your way through the door. Getting through this section isn't anything special, especially if you still have Max. Just use him to shoot all the enemies from a distance. There will also be a pusher here that will push you right into a pit. I highly recommend using Grant's sleeping gas to take him out. Your goal now is to make your way to the 4th floor. Just keep heading up. You'll kill some enemies and move up a floor. Kill some more enemies, then head up a floor. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Unlike the rest of the level, this part is extremely straightforward. You'll eventually come up to the 4th floor and the infamous computer. When you access the computer, you'll start off with a timer at 999, and it ticks down once every system cycle, so you really don't have a whole hell of a lot of time here. When the computer greets you, make sure to press A so you can move to the next screen. The password is MTKN, and yeah, I'm not really spoiling anything for you here. You really don't have time to figure this one out. You need to haul ass, and doing this last sequence perfectly will only leave you with a minimum amount of time. So, enter MTKN, and then you'll be presented with a list of options. The only thing you can select is Game. Everything else just gives you an error or immediately ends the game. At the game menu, the only game you can select is Madelinette. Everything else either gives you an error or ends the game. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the last boss of this game is a medieval board game. Alright, if you've never played Madelinette, here's a primer. This game is a lot like tic-tac-toe, in that if both sides play the game perfectly, nobody wins. Your goal here is to play the computer to a stalemate 3 times. If the computer wins only once, the game is over. You've got to be perfect in order to win this one. And in truth, it's not that difficult to win. It's just annoying, because at this point in the game, you're pretty much guaranteed to be on your last continue, and fucking up a simple game like this, well, it can drive you mad.
Ah!
Play the game, and eventually you'll beat the game. How meta. And that's Mission Impossible, folks. It turns out it's not nearly as impossible as the title would imply, but maybe the next game will be truly impossible. Impossible to beat, impossible to find, impossible to ever get out of your mind.